Well, good afternoon and welcome to Adventures After 60. I am Paul, and this is my 5th week backpacking in Spain. I just finished completing the Camino Primitivo, and I want to show you guys the ultimate Camino Primitivo loop hike. So behind me is the woods where I spent the night after doing the Hospitales route. So the Hospitales route, Pola de Allende route, where they come together, and then that's the Camino Primitivo behind me, and then it continues to Berducedo. Berducedo is about a half an hour away, but you can get off the Camino Primitivo, and really the best of the Camino Primitivo is behind you if you're continuing on to Santiago. And you could get off at this point and you can take a trail called the Camino Natural de la Cordillera Cantábrica, which is a lot of words, but it just means the natural Camino of the Cantabrian Mountains, the natural Camino of the Cantabrian Mountains. And it is an incredible trail. I did the eastern half of that trail. This is in the western half, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I got dropped off at Berducedo, walked a half an hour back to where the two trails intersect. And how to do this as a loop hike, starting in Oviedo, going to here to about a half an hour before Berducedo, where the trail branches off. And then we'll be on the Camino Natural de la Cordillera Cantábrica for about a week. And then that comes out in Campomanes on the Camino de San Salvador, which takes us back to Oviedo. So a true loop hike starting and finishing in Oviedo. So that's a lot of explanation, but I feel like if you actually intend to do this trail, there's a lot of information on the Camino Primitivo, and there's a good bit of information on the Camino de San Salvador, which goes from León to Oviedo, but there is very little information aside from, there is an official website for the Camino Natural de la Cordillera Cantábrica. That is a lot of words to say repeatedly. It's a good website, but it doesn't have a lot of practical information of somebody who's actually done it semi-recently, and resupply and what the trail is like, etc. But there are a lot of really pretty pictures and nice description. So I want to take you along on this, and I'm going to kind of assume that you might actually want to do it and kind of give you the information that you might need to do it. And feel free to ask questions in the comments if you intend to do it. If you have about 2 weeks, I think that whole loop would probably take most people about 2 weeks. I think this really would be the ultimate Camino Primitivo loop hike. So I'm glad to have you along, and I hope you get something out of these videos. Well, that was the first waymark. Seems to have been the victim of an accident. The waymarking is generally very good, but if you do this trail, I would definitely download the GPX tracks so that you at least have those as a backup, because the waymarking is definitely not as good as it is, say, on the Camino Primitivo. So here's a typical waymark for the Camino Natural de la Cordillera Cantábrica, which, as you can see from the sign, is also called Asturias Interior, and also GR-109, which is probably what I'll start referring to it as. And it has the distance to each endpoint for the stage. So that makes it very nice, very easy to figure out where you are and how far you have to go. You know, the various Camino de Santiago routes, the more popular ones at least, are wonderful, and they have a lot going for them. But as soon as you step off of one onto another path, it's a different feeling. Like, it's been about 2 hours since I left the Camino Primitivo, and immediately you feel the difference. There's no trash on the side of the road. There's no graffiti. There's no little businesses and the little villages geared toward pilgrims or tourists. You're really, to me, encountering a more, I don't know what the word would be, authentic Spain. At least you're encountering a part of Spain that isn't geared toward catering toward pilgrims or tourists. I mean, tourist has kind of a negative connotation, but however you want to look at it, I feel like probably in this whole week on the GR-109, I'd be surprised, honestly, if I see more than a half a dozen people who aren't locals. And I love that. I mean, that is one thing about doing this kind of hiking in Spain that I absolutely love. Which is not to say that there aren't wonderful things about the more popular Camino routes like the Camino Frances or the Camino Primitivo. But just a thought. You really feel the difference though. You'll know it if you like it, and you'll know it right away if you don't. Well, it was a fairly short day today because I got kind of a late start in the early afternoon and decided to found a good campsite. A little bit on the early side, but I am still tired from that last 100-kilometer day on the Camino Primitivo, so I will appreciate having a little bit of extra rest and a little bit of extra time to sleep. Hopefully I can see the sunset, but there is, I don't know if you can see behind me, there's definitely some fog coming in. I'm very close to the ridge, so it may be too foggy to catch the sunset, but who knows, maybe the sunrise tomorrow. Just thoughts on the hiking today. Great scenery, pretty much non-stop, and great solitude too. I did not see anyone, either a hiker or a local, so it doesn't get much more solitary than that. So yeah, I loved it. I loved the day, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. Take care. God bless.